Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'm reviewing The Vast of Night. The Vast of Night is a new film from Amazon, and it tells the story of a switchboard operator and a small town DJ in a town in New Mexico in the 1950s, and it's a sci-fi thriller film, and I think they use this classic style to great effect in this film. I was honestly really surprised to see that the director and the writers of this movie really hadn't had a history of making other films. It was so well written, and they were able to establish such an interesting lore and world around this small little town. You felt like you were transported to this setting. That's no small part due to the production value. Even though it doesn't use a lot of ridiculous over-the-top special effects, they're able to use the technology and the atmosphere of the 1950s in a small town to really immerse you into the storyline. And I also thought the acting was really solid. I think Sierra McCormick, who plays Faye, who's the switchboard operator, does a really solid job. There's one scene in particular where she is operating the switchboard, and it's almost like a non-stop one-shot cut of just her talking and going back and forth between different people, and how she's able to keep such sharp and quick dialogue really is a testament to how well this film is written, because there's so much fast-paced things happening. They're constantly talking back and forth. They have that 50s style of speaking, and this constant flowing of talking in the movie is something that helps pick up with the fact that it doesn't really show a whole lot. It's a movie that's dealing with sci-fi elements and a big sci-fi storyline, but it almost feels like you're watching a radio show. You're being told a lot of what's happening. There's a lot of communication over both the radio and the switchboard, and I like that. It feels refreshing. It feels like it's calling back to these old radio-style Orson Welles, stuff you think of, just classic sci-fi, but it does it in a new format. Also, a thing that this movie does that I really like that is it's kind of parodying off of The Twilight Zone. In the beginning, you have an intro that's very similar to Twilight Zone. There's also different segments where they switch back to that fuzzy, old-school television screen, so it feels more immersive. I think this movie definitely has enough style, but definitely isn't style over substance, because there's a lot to be had there. I felt myself fully intrigued with what's happening, even though there really isn't a ton actually happening. I won't go into too much spoilers about what happens at the end of the film. I think it's something that people should check out, and I think it does have a decent payoff. I'm not going to go into anything that really happens, but I like that it moves you along, moves the story along, and constantly has you trying to figure out what's happening, building the pieces. I also like that the 1950s setting helps build that in many ways, because you can't have that constant communication. It's a lot of hearsay, talking to different people. You can't get that instant gratification of, people recording stuff on social media or filming things. You just hear a lot about what's happening, what's on this part of town, how these people may involved. You even get a little bit of a history of the town. And I like that. It's a made up place, but you feel like it's real. You feel like these people are real. You feel like the events are real. And as someone who enjoys UFOlogy and Roswell and all these things like that, it felt like a callback to something that I haven't seen in a long time. Also, the cinematography is definitely not something to shake a stick at. I like that it uses a lot of tracking shots. This movie's definitely done on not the biggest budget in the world, but they utilize the most out of their budget. They're able to do different set pieces, and as I'm watching Amazon, I realized that I can look into that X-ray thing and look at all the different trivia about it and how they built some of the sets, how they filmed some of the scenes were really ingenuitive, and I just think that it was very well crafted. The one negative that I feel like I could say about the film is that there are moments where it drags just a little bit. It's an hour and a half long, so it never felt incredibly slow to me, but there were some moments where things are just progressing a little bit slower than maybe you would expect them to be, and it's not as over the top and ridiculous. Some modern movies that deal with these paranormal type things, I do appreciate it for what it is, but I could see how some people might be a little bored with it at times, but I definitely think sticking through it, it's worth the payoff. And there's also quite a few layers to the movie. On its surface, it is a story about people trying to discover a mystery, trying to solve what this strange signal being sent out across the airwaves is, but you get a little bit about human connections. You get a little bit about how the world is progressing, how things are changing. And there was a scene in particular that I liked where the two main characters are walking along a street very early along in the film, and they're talking about advances in technology. And they're talking about things that, we do have today and things that may have seemed ridiculous back then. So I loved that old school feel of the film. You get that vibe of, I understand where these people are coming from. You understand their worldview, and it helps build up what they're dealing with. This would be absolutely mind-boggling, these events that they're dealing with, but then you think about today, maybe it would be handled a little differently. So I like how they set that world building. I can't keep harping on how much I enjoy the way that the movie is structured as far as the characters and the setting. I think it was perfect for its own little encapsulation. I don't know if we'd want movies like this constantly, but it's something that I haven't seen in a long time. Remind me a little bit of Super 8, if you like that film from J.J. Abrams, but a little better done in my opinion. Maybe a little bit like Midnight Special. It's a movie I really enjoy. It definitely falls in that genre, but it's a perfect little package. It may not be big, bombastic, have huge names, huge budget behind it, but as far as something to just check out during this time, it's definitely enjoyable. So if I were to rate this movie, I would actually give it an 8 out of 10. Really solid. I mean, I was not expecting anything from it. I hadn't even really heard about it. And it just pops up on Amazon Prime. I'd seen other people talking about it, reviewing it. So I figured I would check it out myself. And I was not disappointed. As someone who likes those classic sci-fi things, people that love, extraterrestrial stuff, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, all that classic First Contact movies, I think you would definitely enjoy it. Again, thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and let me know how you feel about it. Did you enjoy it? Did you think it was as interesting and enthralling as I did? Maybe you felt it was a little bit slow. I'd be interested to see what you think and how it compares to other films of the genre for you. So leave those comments down below. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.